You are financially abusing us." My father said the words without even looking up from the turkey he was carving. It was Thanksgiving dinner. The table was set with the crystal glasses I'd bought them for their anniversary, and the heavy silver cutlery that had been in the family for 3 generations. The air smelled like roasted sage and simmering resentment. I put down my wine glass carefully so it would not make a sound against the wood. "Excuse me," I asked, my voice steady, despite the sudden drop in my stomach. "You heard me, Alyssa." Richard, my father, finally looked at me. His eyes were cold, empty of anything resembling affection. "You hold your contributions over our heads. You use your money to control this household. To control me. It is abuse, plain and simple. And I will not tolerate it anymore. You are a burden on this family's spirit. You need to leave. Tonight." Drop a comment and let me know where you are listening from and what time it is for you right now. I would love to know who is part of our community. I looked around the table. My mother Emily was staring intently at her green beans, refusing to meet my gaze. My 16-year-old sister Sophia looked terrified, her eyes darting between me and Dad. "Dad, I pay the mortgage," I said, my voice low. "I pay the utilities. I pay for the country club membership you are currently enjoying." "How is that abuse?" "It is manipulation." He slammed the carving knife onto the platter. The sound made Sophia jump. "You think because you write a check you own us. You think you can walk around here with that superior attitude. I am the man of this house. My dignity is not for sale. Get out." I did not scream. I did not cry. I just stood up. My chair scraped against the hardwood floor, a harsh sound in the sudden silence. I looked at my mother. "Mom." She finally looked up, her eyes wet but her expression hard. "Your father is right, Alyssa. It is too much tension. Maybe it is best if you go." "Fine." I walked to my room. It was not a walk of shame. It was a march of realization. I did not slam the door. I closed it quietly and pulled my suitcase from the closet. As I started folding my clothes, the shock began to wear off, replaced by a cold, clinical clarity. I looked around the room I'd grown up in. The posters were gone, replaced by neutral art prints. The childhood toys were packed away. It was a guest room, really. A room for a transient visitor who paid $3,500 a month for the privilege of sleeping there. I realized then that I had not been paying the mortgage. I had not been paying for electricity or water or high-speed internet. I had been paying for hope. It is the gambler's fallacy of love. You know the feeling. You have invested so much years of your life, thousands of dollars, endless emotional labor, that you convince yourself you cannot walk away now. The jackpot has to be just around the corner. If you just put in one more coin, one more month of rent, one more silent apology, they will finally love you the way you need them to. Leaving means admitting that every single chip you played was lost from the start. It means accepting that the machine was rigged and the house always wins. I zipped the suitcase. It was heavy, filled with everything I owned that mattered. I picked up my phone to call a rideshare, and that is when I saw it. My dad's iPad was sitting on the nightstand, buzzing with a notification. I should not have looked, but I did. It was an alert from a rental app. New inquiry, master suite with private bath, available immediately. I unlocked the screen. The listing was active. It had been posted 3 days ago. 3 days. He bad not snapped at dinner. This was not a spur-of-the-moment decision born of pride or anger. He had planned this. He had taken photos of my room while I was at work. He had written a description. Quiet professional household, while I was paying for the groceries in his refrigerator. He had not kicked me out to reclaim his dignity. He had kicked me out because he thought he could get more money from a stranger than he could from me. The last shred of guilt I felt evaporated. It did not burn away, it froze. I walked out of the room, past the dining room where they were still eating the turkey I had bought. I did not say goodbye. I did not slam the front door. I just walked out into the cold November air, got into the waiting car, and watched the house disappear in the rearview mirror. I did not cry. I did not look back. I just took out my phone, opened my banking app, and prepared to balance the ledger. I arrived at Hunter's loft 20 minutes later. Hunter had been my best friend since design school, a tech genius who had sold his first startup at 22 and now lived in a converted warehouse that smelled of expensive coffee and ozone. He opened the door, took one look at my face, and stepped aside. "Do you need wine?" or a lawyer. I need Wi-Fi, I said. I sat at his kitchen island and opened my laptop. The screen glowed blue in the dim light, a digital command center for the demolition I was about to initiate. I logged into the family financial dashboard. I had set it up years ago to make things easier to ensure bills were paid on time so my credit score would not tank along with theirs. Now it was the control panel for their destruction. First, the mortgage. $2,800 scheduled for auto transfer on the 1st of the month. I hovered the cursor over the Cancel Recurring Payment button. Click. Next, the country club. $400 a month so my father could play golf with men who thought he was a consultant, not an unemployed narcissist. Click. Cancel. The electric bill. The water. The gas. The high-speed fiber internet my mother needed to stream her shows. Click, click, click. I logged into Amazon. My card was set as the default payment method. I scrolled through the order history, vitamins, golf balls, a new espresso machine I had not even known about. I deleted the card. I went to the family cell phone plan. I initiated a transfer of service for my line, separating it from the group account. The remaining 3 lines, Richard, Emily, Sophia, would now be billed directly to the account holder, my father. It took 12 minutes. 12 minutes to dismantle the financial infrastructure of a household that had stood for 3 years on my shoulders. As I worked, memories flashed in my mind, not as sentimental movies, but as receipts. I remembered the promotion I got last year. The $5,000 bonus I was so proud of. I remembered my mother crying about her emergency dental surgery, how much pain she was in, how the insurance would not cover the implants. I had given her the entire bonus. 2 weeks later, she came home with a frozen face and perfect wrinkle-free skin. It was not teeth. It was Botox and fillers. I never saw a bill. I never saw a receipt. I just saw my bonus disappear into her vanity. I remembered the student loans. I had deferred them for 2 years, letting the interest compound just so I could keep the house out of foreclosure when my dad left his last job. Left was his word. Fired for incompetence was the reality. I had sacrificed my own financial future to protect his present. I remembered the late nights, the freelance graphic design gigs I took on top of my full-time job, the weekends spent building websites for local bakeries just to cover the organic groceries my father insisted on. "We do not eat garbage in this house," he would say, while eating the food I paid for with my sleep deprivation. I was not a daughter. I was a load-bearing wall. I was the structural integrity of a facade they were desperate to maintain. And they had just taken a sledgehammer to me. I closed the laptop. The silence in the loft was heavy, but it was not oppressive. It was the silence of a machine that had finally been turned off. Hunter placed a mug of tea in front of me. "Done." "Done," I said. "It is all cancelled. Everything." "How do you feel?" I took a breath. I expected to feel panic. I expected to feel the crushing weight of guilt that had been my constant companion for years. But there was nothing. Just a quiet, hollow space where the anxiety used to be. "I feel," I said, testing the words, "like I just dropped a very heavy backpack." "They are going to freak out," Hunter said. "I know," I replied. "But that is not my problem anymore. That is a subscriber issue. And I just canceled their service." 3 days later, the first domino fell. I was at work staring at a branding layout when my phone buzzed. Then it buzzed again. And again. A steady, rhythmic vibration against the desk. It was Richard. I did not answer. I flipped the phone over. 5 minutes later, a voicemail notification popped up. Then a text. Then 3 more texts. "Alyssa, the electric bill didn't go through." "Fix it." "Alyssa, answer your phone." "The internet is down." "Your mother is trying to watch her show." "What did you do?" I sipped my coffee and continued working. The silence from my end seemed to act as an accelerant. By noon, the tone had shifted from command to rage. "You ungrateful brat. You think this is funny, trying to ruin Christmas? I raised you better than this. After everything we did for you. Call me right now or don't bother coming back." I laughed a short, dry sound. Do not bother coming back. He still thought he had leverage. He still thought access to his presence was a prize I was desperate to win. He did not realize that he was not the gatekeeper anymore. He was the beggar at the gate. The voicemail he left at 2 in the afternoon was a masterpiece of the genre. It started with yelling incoherent, shouting about respect and duty, and then midway through it shifted. His voice cracked. He started weeping. Fake theatrical sobs about how he just wanted his family together and how cruel I was being to my own mother. It is called an extinction burst. In psychology, it is what happens when you stop reinforcing a behavior. When a rat presses a lever and no pellet comes out, it does not just walk away. It presses the lever harder, faster, more frantically. It attacks the lever. When a manipulator loses control, they do not reflect. They explode. They escalate their behavior to try and force the old system back into place. They scream, they cry, they threaten, they beg. It is not madness. It is a predictable biological panic reaction to the loss of a resource. My father was the rat. My bank account was the pellet. And he was currently gnawing on the bars of the cage. I saved the voicemails. I took screenshots of the texts. I did not reply. I was done negotiating with terrorists. But the extinction burst was not over. It was just beginning. The next morning, I woke up to a notification from my credit monitoring app. Alert new inquiry. Equifax. I frowned, rubbing sleep from my eyes. I had not applied for anything. I tapped the notification. New credit card application Chase Sapphire Reserve. New credit card application Amex Platinum. New personal loan inquiry SoFi. 3 inquiries. All made between 3 in the morning and 4 in the morning. I sat up, my heart hammering against my ribs. This was not just a login attempt. This was not someone trying to guess my Netflix password. This was identity theft. I logged into the credit bureau site. The applications listed my name, my social security number, and my previous address, my parents' house. They listed my income, but inflated. My mother? It had to be Emily. Richard was too technologically illiterate to navigate a loan application, but Emily knew my social security number. She had memorized it when I was in high school for safekeeping. They were not just trying to get the lights back on. They were trying to open new lines of credit in my name to maintain their lifestyle. They were trying to cannibalize my financial future to pay for their present. This was not a family dispute anymore. This was not a daughter acting out. This was a felony. I looked at the screen, the blue light illuminating the dark loft. The betrayal did not feel like a knife in the back. It felt like a cold hand around my throat. They would eat me alive if I let them. They would drain me until I was a husk and then complain that I was not juicy enough. I picked up my phone. I did not call my parents. I did not call Sophia. I called the police non-emergency line. I would like to report a case of identity theft, I said. My voice was calm. Terrifyingly calm. I know who did it. The time for silence was over. It was time to go to war. The police station was quiet at 6 in the morning. It smelled of stale coffee and floor wax. I did not look like a victim. I looked like a project manager. I had printed out the credit inquiries, the flagged IP addresses, and the screenshots of the loan applications. I had organized them into a binder with color-coded tabs. The officer at the desk looked tired. Family dispute, he asked, eyeing the paperwork. Identity theft, I corrected him. Felony fraud. I am pressing charges. I sat there for 2 hours. I gave my statement. I did not soften the edges. I did not say, my mom made a mistake. I said Emily Miller used my social security number without my consent to secure lines of credit. When he asked if I wanted to pursue this, knowing it would result in an arrest warrant, I did not hesitate. Yes. Leaving the station, I sat in my car and made the next call. The credit bureaus. I placed a freeze on my file with all 3 agencies. It felt like locking the gates of a fortress. No one was getting in. Not for a loan, not for a credit card, not even for a store discount. Then I made the final call. The one that would end it all. I called the property management company that leased my parents' house. This is Alyssa Miller, I told the leasing agent. I am the guarantor on the lease for 4200 Oakwood Drive. Yes, Miss Miller. How can we help you? I am formally withdrawing my guarantee effective immediately. I am sending over a notarized letter to that effect within the hour. There was a pause. Miss Miller, the primary tenants Richard and Emily, do not meet the income requirements for that property without a guarantor. If you withdraw, we will be forced to initiate lease termination proceedings. I understand, I said. Please forward the notice to them today. It was not cruelty. It was liability management. For 3 years, my name had been the safety net that allowed them to live in a house they could not afford, pretending to be people they were not. By removing my name, I was not evicting them. I was simply letting gravity take over. I was letting the math finally math. I spent the rest of the day at a coffee shop working. I did not feel sad. I felt professional. I had treated my exit like a corporate restructuring. I had identified the toxic assets, liquidated my positions, and limited my exposure. Around 4 in the afternoon, my phone started vibrating. It was not a text. It was a notification from my doorbell camera at the old house. I opened the app. I saw a process server handing an envelope to my father. I saw him open it. I saw him read the eviction notice. He crumpled the paper. He looked at the camera as if he knew I was watching. He screamed something that the microphone did not pick up, but I could read his lips. He was not screaming, "I am sorry." He was screaming my name. I closed the app. I blocked the notifications. I had built a professional shield, and nothing was getting through. That evening, the shield was tested physically. I was at Hunter's loft helping him cook dinner when the pounding started. It was not a knock. It was a fist hammering against the heavy industrial door. "Alyssa, we know you are in there." It was Richard. His voice was not booming anymore. It was shrill-edged with a panic I had never heard before. Hunter looked at me, his hand moving toward his phone to call the police. I shook my head. No. I need to finish this. I walked to the door. I could hear my mother sobbing on the other side. "Please, Alyssa, please open up. We have nowhere to go." I unlocked the deadbolt and pushed the heavy metal door open. They looked wrecked. It had been less than a week, but the veneer of the country club lifestyle had completely dissolved. My father was wearing wrinkled clothes. His face was unshaven. My mother looked small, her makeup running, clutching her purse like it was a life raft. "You did this," my father spat, pointing a shaking finger at me. "You called the police. You called the landlord. They are kicking us out in 30 days. 30 days, Alyssa." "Identity theft is a crime, Dad," I said, my voice calm. "And you cannot live in a house you cannot pay for. That is just economics." "I am your mother," Emily wailed, stepping forward. She tried to grab my hand, but I stepped back. "I carried you. I raised you. How can you be so cold? We are family." "Family does not steal my identity," I said. "Family does not open credit cards in my name because they are too proud to get a job." I reached into the entryway table and picked up a manila folder. I held it out to my father. "What is this?" he asked. "That is a copy of the police report," I said. "And the confirmation of the credit freeze. And the removal of my guarantor status." He stared at the folder, refusing to take it. "You told me at Thanksgiving that you were the man of the house," I said, looking him dead in the eye. "You told me my money was emasculating you. You wanted your dignity back. You wanted total control." I shoved the folder into his chest. He instinctively grabbed it. "Congratulations, Dad. You are the man of the house now. You have total control. You figure it out." "Alyssa, wait." My mother started, but I was already moving back. "If you come here again," I said, "I will have you arrested for trespassing." "And Mom? The police are already looking for you regarding the fraud. I would suggest you focus on that." I grabbed the heavy iron handle of the door. I looked at them one last time. 2 people who had consumed my youth, my money, and my self-esteem for years. They looked small. They looked like strangers. I pulled the door shut. The latch clicked with a sound like a final period at the end of a long, terrible sentence. 6 months later, I sat on the balcony of my new apartment. It was not huge, but it was mine. It was filled with plants I had not killed and furniture I had chosen. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Sophia. "I am out." Hunter picked me up. "I am staying with his sister until I get my dorm assignment." I smiled. The cycle was broken. She had turned 18 yesterday, and she had not wasted a single hour. My parents were living in a 1-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. Richard was working security at a warehouse, a job he complained about to anyone who would listen. Emily was on probation for the fraud-working, court-ordered community service. They did not have my number. I opened my laptop and pulled up my old budget spreadsheet. I scrolled down to the column labeled Family Support. It was a long column filled with thousands of dollars in transfers, loans, and gifts that had never been reciprocated. I highlighted the entire column. I hit delete. The numbers shifted. The red turned to black. The negative balance vanished, replaced by a surplus. I closed the laptop. The sun was setting, painting the city in gold and violet. For the first time in my life, I did not owe anyone anything. My ledger was balanced. I was free. If you have ever had to cut off a toxic family member to save yourself, share your story in the comments. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more stories of truth and justice.